One of the things that we noticed probably about halfway through is that built into at least our system of writing was what we'd call sort of an anti-appreciation dynamic, where, as you're writing, of course, you want someone to say, oh, this is good, I appreciate this, and make you feel like things are going nicely. But because there's lots of pressure when you're writing, and there's time pressure, and there's that uncertainty of like, is this any good? And you feel a lot of anxiety. When Sheila would send me something, my first sort of frame is thinking it from an editing point of view. So I'm reading it and I'm thinking, okay, so here's she made this better, but this got worse, and then we have to change this. And so I would write back and I would say, okay, so here's what I think we got to figure out. And so over time, we're basically just giving each other negative feedback all the time. And that's expedient in some ways, because that's what moves the book forward. But we suddenly noticed, like, well, wait a second, but we're also people who are working together on something. And so we had to kind of bend over backwards to remind ourselves that we have to notice. I mean, we were noticing, but we have to comment on it when the other person does something that's really good. We sort of were taking that for granted, like, well, of course, that's the point, is you're going to write lots of good stuff, but we got to fix the stuff that's broken.
Stuff, yeah.
But then the appreciation and the encouragement gets accidentally dropped out, which is just not a healthy dynamic.
The anti-appreciation loop happens naturally, but the great thing about co-authoring is that there's also a natural appreciation loop, because there's always somebody there who knows you spent 4 days on this and knows how far it's come. And so they actually have such a more visceral sense of what it took and the time and effort and thought that you've put in. And when you do crack a problem, and suddenly the opening to this chapter really works, or the reorganization you did nailed it, there is no one who's more grateful, right? Because even the friends watching you struggle with it are just like, oh, good for you. But the person who now doesn't have that problem on their plate also is like, oh, thank God it was magical. Like the elves or you fixed it for both of us. And so that's actually a really lovely aspect of co-authoring.
Thank you for listening. Please review our other available content for help writing, publishing, and marketing your book. If you have any questions about the Author Learning Center, please contact us by email at authorsupport@authorlearningcenter.com.